Well, well, well. Look who they can't stop whispering about. Hey there, Starsheen. Yeah, you. Don't look around like I'm talking to somebody else. You know exactly who you are. The one who vanished for a while, then re-emerged. Not just stronger, but stranger, brighter, dangerous. You walked back in like a rumor turned into a revelation. Now everyone's jaw is on the damn floor. The spotlight. Oh, it found you. And the crowd, they're frothing at the mouth. Every room you enter feels like the stage just tilted in your favor. Lights up, eyes wide, hearts pounding, and somewhere in the background, someone's losing their mind. See, when they thought you were broken, when you were curled up in silence with no applause, they smirked. They counted you out. They put a nail in your coffin, clicked their tongues, and said, "That one's done." They thought you were the flame out, the sad tale, a chapter closed with no climax. But you were just floating, you were molting, you were buried, not dead. And the joke is now you've risen. Hotter, colder, sharper, stranger, unrecognizable in all the right ways. Now look what's happening. People are watching you like you're a damn movie. You're a walking trailer for a life they wish they could touch. They look at you like you're untouchable. And yet they can't look away. Like a star exploding in reverse. Gravity pulling everything in. Even the ones who tried to bury your name are whispering it now like a prayer and a curse. Someone's going nuts. Oh yeah, someone's pulling their hair out, checking your page, replaying your voice in their heads, like a song they can't stand but still can't stop humming. They're studying your glow like it's a crime scene. Because how dare you look this alive? How dare you smile like nothing ever touched you? How dare you look like you won? They don't know the hours. They don't know the silence you dragged yourself through like chains. They don't know the nights you screamed into the void and got no echo back. They don't know the 1,000 deaths you died in private just to be born this loud. And oh, how quiet you were. That scared them the most, didn't it? You weren't screaming, you weren't posting, you weren't proving, you just disappeared. And in that vacuum, their minds filled in the blanks. Their guilt did backflips. Their ego started to itch because silence is a mirror. And when you held up that mirror, they didn't like what they saw. You see people panic when someone they thought they had power over stops reacting. They mistake your calm for defeat. They mistake your peace for weakness. They mistake your stillness for irrelevance. But oh, still water cuts deepest. You didn't yell, you rebuilt. You didn't plot revenge. You became the consequence. Now look, you're the rumor. You're the trend. You're the story people can't stop telling each other. They say you look different. Of course you do. You walked through fire and came out sculpted. Not because you wanted revenge, but because you finally stopped asking for permission to shine. They can't place it, can they? It's not the clothes, not the hair, not even the glow on your skin. It's the energy. You walk different now. You move like someone who's not waiting to be chosen. Like someone who realized the table they were begging to sit at was plastic and crooked and full of crumbs. So you built your own. Now they're knocking. Knocking like they didn't once laugh. Like they didn't once leave you outside in the cold. And your silence. Oh, it's louder than any shout you could have given them because you don't need to say a word. The way you walk into a room now, it announces you. The air changes, heads swivel, hearts race. Not because you're loud, but because you're real and they're still acting. See, the greatest revenge isn't rage. It isn't proving them wrong. It isn't even success. It's indifference. Indifference is the final act of liberation. When their names become background static, when their apologies don't taste sweet anymore, when their approval becomes irrelevant because you no longer dance in their circus. You're not the clown anymore, you're the ringmaster. The real clowns are the ones going nuts now. The ones who wrote you off, who laughed when you were stumbling, who gathered like vultures around your silence. They didn't see this coming, this version of you. You weren't on their bingo card because they only understood the version of you that needed love to feel whole, the one that explained, that overextended, that shrank. They don't know how to face a version of you that owes them nothing, a version that smiles without permission, a version that glows without audience. Now they're spiraling, checking in to see if you're still glowing, still unbothered, still loved, still you, only more dangerous. And here's the real punchline. You never needed revenge. You didn't need karma. You didn't need a grand finale. You just needed to see yourself. Really see yourself. Not through their opinions, not through their filters, not through their projections, but through your own damn eyes. And when you did, you stopped being their puppet. Now they're scrambling. They want your attention. They want your presence. They whisper your name like it's a scandal and a prophecy in the same breath. They glance at each other, side-eyeing screens, trading stories, because nobody can quite explain what happened to you. Only that something did, something unholy, something divine. Something that tore through the blueprint they tried to squeeze you into like a fire ripping through silk. You shattered the version of you they were comfortable with. The one that flinched, that stayed small to keep the peace, that apologized for shining too brightly in rooms dimly lit by mediocrity. They can't process what they're seeing now because it doesn't fit into their story. The one where you're always a little too sensitive, a little too lost, a little too much. But you got tired of playing their mascot. You got tired of asking for crumbs while starving in a house you built. You didn't just glow up. You detonated. You took your pain and turned it into architecture. Each scar became a cathedral. Each breakdown became a blueprint. And while they were busy watching for your collapse, you were engineering your own resurrection. Not to impress, not to perform, but because it was the only way to breathe again. Now, they're staring like they've seen a ghost wearing designer. And maybe they have, because the old you didn't survive. You buried that version with your own bare hands and didn't even bother to mark the grave. You walk through the same places now. And it's them who feel out of place. Their confidence stutters. Their words get caught in their throats. They can't decide if they want to be you or destroy you because admiration and envy. They wear the same perfume and oh, how it lingers. They're having late-night conversations about your glow. But it's not your skin that's shining. It's your aura. It's your refusal to shrink. It's your ability to exist now without translating your soul into a language they can digest. You stopped being digestible. You became raw, wild, unpackaged. You stopped trimming your edges for people who only loved the idea of you, not the truth of you. And when you did that, you became dangerous. Because nothing scares people more than someone who no longer seeks their approval. They can't control what they can't guilt, can't manipulate what they can't shame, can't own what no longer asks to be kept. You're too fluid now, too vast, too free, and they don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to handle you. because the same mouth that once called you too much is now quiet. The same hands that let you go are now twitching to reach back, but they won't. Not yet. They're watching, studying, hoping for a crack in the glass, because if you can truly live this loudly, this boldly, without them, what does that say about the role they thought they played in your story? It says they were a chapter, not the plot. In your story, it's only just beginning to turn the page. They hear your name in rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. Strangers mention you like folklore. Did you see what they're doing now? Have you seen how good they look? It's like they're famous or something. And you are famous in the way meteors are, in the way revolutions are, in the way storms don't ask for permission before they take the sky and make it theirs. Your presence is atmospheric now. You enter and the temperature shifts. The air gets tight. People hold their breath and pretend they're not looking. But they are. They always are. Because deep down they know. They know you walked away from the fire they set, and instead of being burned, you brought the flame with you. And now you're wearing it like a crown, like a warning, like a rebirth stitched into your every move. You make it look easy, but they'll never know what it cost. The nights you couldn't sleep because your soul was screaming. The mornings where getting out of bed felt like dragging a mountain. The moments you begged the silence for answers and only got echoes in return. They see the smile now, but not the ache behind it. They hear the laugh, but not the roar. It's holding back. Because you don't just walk anymore, you arrive. And every step says, I'm not who I was. You don't belong to the past. You don't belong to their projections. You don't belong to the versions of you that begged to be loved by people who could only offer confusion. You belong to yourself now, and that makes you magnetic, mythic. You're no longer explaining your worth, you're embodying it. You're no longer asking for space, you're taking up all of it because you were always meant to. And those who once tried to contain you, they're the ones shaking now because they realize they lost access to something rare. Not just a body, not just a face, but a force. A force that once would have gone to war to be seen, and now walks away without blinking. They're going nuts trying to figure out if there's a way back in. There isn't. Every room you enter starts buzzing before you even speak. They try to play it cool, sip their drinks, fake scroll their phones. But the second you step in, the air changes. Molecules reorganize. Gravity shifts like the room itself is leaning toward you. They see you across the room and forget what they were saying. Their words trail off mid-sentence like a glitch in their brainstem. Because how do you pretend not to notice a supernova? And what's worse for them is you're not performing, you're not even trying, you just are. Your presence distilled, energy concentrated, no apologies, no disclaimers, no shrink-wrapped softness for their comfort. You are the person they mocked for dreaming too loudly. The one they dismissed with subtle digs and lukewarm praise. The one they underestimated because they couldn't imagine a story that didn't orbit them. But your story was never built for small minds. Your glow was never meant to be manageable. And you were never designed to be digestible. You were meant to disrupt. Not because you enjoy chaos, but because order was never fair to you in the first place. You're not here to keep things peaceful. You're here to awaken, to remind every soul who's ever felt like too much that too much is exactly right. They hear your laugh across the room, and it lands like an earthquake. It sounds like freedom, like someone is done pretending. They see your body move, And it's not choreography, it's a declaration. You take up space like you were born to, like the earth had to stretch to make room for your becoming. And those who once had front row seats to your unraveling, they're clutching their chests like they've seen a ghost. But this isn't some haunted echo of who you used to be. This is a resurrection they were never meant to survive. They can't stop watching because your power doesn't come from followers or filters. It comes from the nights you laid on the floor wondering if your soul was broken beyond repair and stood up anyway. It comes from the moments you stopped waiting for someone to choose you and chose yourself like it was a revolution. That's what they're seeing. That's why they're obsessing. That's why they're going absolutely nuts. Because you've become something that makes people question their entire existence. You're proof that survival can look majestic, that healing isn't a return, it's a reinvention. You're the before and after. You're the fire and the phoenix. You're the warning and the miracle. And one, body, they don't have a category for that. They stare because your silence is louder than their gossip. Your peace is more provocative than any clapback. Your evolution makes their smallness echo in their own minds. They don't want to admit it, but they're measuring themselves against you now. They used to feel tall next to your pain. Now they're drowning in your power. They're studying your posture, trying to decode your rhythm, grasping for a trace of who you used to be, hoping you'll slip, hoping you'll return to something they can control. But you won't. You've tasted the sky, you foe. Held your own spirit in your hands and promised it protection. You don't bend for comfort anymore. They panic because your confidence doesn't come with arrogance, it comes with clarity. And there is nothing more terrifying than a person who sees themselves clearly, because that kind of person can't be lied to, can't be gaslit, can't be made to shrink for the fragile. You walk past them and they flinch, like your truth has mass. Because it does. It's heavy with the weight of every time you were overlooked and stayed quiet. Every time you were ridiculed and still chose compassion. Every time they tried to kill your spark and you fed it anyway. And now it's a wildfire. They're standing in the wreckage of the version of you they thought they could contain, watching as you build cathedrals out of the very ashes they buried you in. They circle your name like vultures around something holy they don't understand, trying to decipher it, trying to dilute it, trying to turn it into something they can explain away, as if your glow is a phase, a costume, a filter. You'll eventually peel off and return to their idea of you. But you're not redressing, rewinding, rerunning the script they handed you years ago. You tore that script to shreds and wrote your own lines in ink and fire and scars that read like scripture to anyone who's ever clawed their way out of the dark. They think you changed overnight. They think you're changing overnight. They think you're lucky. They think you're trending. They don't understand that what they're witnessing is earned. It's not luck, it's blood memory. It's centuries of silence power boiling up from your bones. Ancestral fire finally finding a vessel that won't apologize for burning too bright. You're not trying to be liked anymore, you're trying to be real. And in a world drowning in masks, authenticity is an act of war. They don't know how to receive you because you're not offering anything for free anymore. No more emotional labor wrapped in politeness. No more diluting your rage into palatable sadness. No more diluting your intel just to protect egos that can't withstand the sun. You walk like every step is a verdict, like your very existence is the rebuttal to every lie they ever told about you. And it is. Every word you say without hesitation, that's a myth crumbling. Every boundary you hold without flinching, that's a legacy ending. Every time you smile without needing to be invited, that's a dynasty falling apart in silence. You're the reckoning they never saw coming, the storm they tried to outtalk, the revolution they ignored until it showed up wearing lipstick, leather, and laser focus, and it's too late for them now because you're good. You're too good. That's the part they can't digest. Not just your looks, not just your voice, not just your movement or glow. It's your peace, your power, your refusal to be rattled. You don't flinch anymore when they fumble your name. You don't bend anymore when they weaponize silence. You don't explain anymore when they play dumb. They see it in your eyes. That slow burning stare that says, I remember everything and I still chose me. You stopped asking to be seen. You became unignorable, and it's driving them mad because there is nothing more dangerous than someone who knows exactly who they are and refuses to be small about it. You're not just glowing, you're glorified. Not by them, by something older, by the part of you that survived everything they didn't see, by the gods that watched you cry through clenched teeth and still get up. Every time they see your face now, they see their own failure staring back at them, their own mediocrity, their own lies. Because what excuse do they have when you made it through, when you didn't have the privilege or the backup or the applause? Just rage, vision, and the stubborn refusal to disappear. You should have stayed down. You should have given up. You should have let their absence define your value. But you didn't. You redefined yourself without their permission. You became too good without their validation. And now, every corner of your being is a spotlight on their regret. They can't look directly at you anymore. You too bright, too untouchable. They try to mention you casually like it's no big deal. They say your name like it's not burning a hole in their throat. They pretend they're not obsessed, but obsession doesn't hide well, especially when it shows up in the way they scroll your feed at 2 a.m. And the way they mimic your tone, in the way they watch others react to you and wish they could still stand beside you without being eclipsed. They want proximity. They want forgiveness without apology. They want you to make them feel like they matter again. But you don't play God anymore. You don't build altars for people who once worshiped your downfall. You build empires now out of memory, out of rejection, out of the silence they mistook for surrender. And every brick screams the truth. You became what they were afraid you'd become. The moment they realized they couldn't control you, they tried to clip your wings with backhanded compliments and passive-aggressive silence, thinking if they couldn't break you outright, they could wear you down slowly, starve you of praise, flood you with confusion, make you second-guess as your shine until you forgot how bright you were born to burn. But something in you didn't die. Something ancient, something buried so deep, even you forgot it was there. Until one day when you couldn't cry anymore, it cracked through your chest like a scream carved in gold. You remembered not who they told you were, but who you are. Not the version of you that begged for crumbs, but the one who builds tables from rubble and still eats like royalty. You didn't just level up, you became unreachable, because they were playing social chess while you were building an entire kingdom inside your mind. A place where your voice echoes in every corridor, where your truth is law, where the mirrors don't lie and you don't shrink. They see it in the way you carry silence like a weapon, in how you wear solitude like armor. Your stillness is unnerving because it's not emptiness, it's presence. A kind of presence that demands reverence without a single word. A kind of presence that turns fake smiles into stutters. A kind of presence that makes people question whether they've ever really known confidence or just borrowed arrogance with a hollow core. They try to copy your glow, but forget this light wasn't bought. It was forged in every sleepless night you survived alone, in every moment you swallowed your own tears just to get through the hour, in every time you gave when you had nothing left but still showed up like love was a currency only you could mint. This glow doesn't flicker. It burns. It demands its own weather system. And they're caught in the storm without a map, watching you sail through it like you built the wind. They're going nuts because they thought they knew you. They thought they saw the full picture, but they only ever saw the you that was still trying to fit.